Welcome back, guys. My name is Joe and this is Youngblood Family Farm, and this is my farm pond. The focus of this video is to talk about my progress of cleaning up the pond and removing surface growth from the pond. I hope to earn your subscription through this video. So I'm going to do the most current update, and then I'll give you a little backstory later on. I have the tendency of rambling on, and I need to focus on what I need to focus on in this video. So my goal is that you can learn from my mistakes, but you're going to have to listen to my mistakes. And so here we go. So about 7 weeks ago, I sprayed this surface with Flumagard, and I have a video that talked about what I sprayed it with, and the surfactant that I used, and within 9-10 days or so, it really cleared up. I sprayed on a pretty heavy dose. There's a 1/4 acre pond. The hole is about 14 feet deep, and I sprayed on a pretty heavy dose of about 1 pound of Flumagard into 10 gallons of water. About 3 weeks after that, I noticed that there was watermeal growth coming back, and so me being short-minded decided that I'm going to catch it before it starts to really spread. So I mixed up a very small batch. I believe it was about 5 ounces of Flumagard, and I did a spot treatment, and along with that I also introduced pond dye, and so all was well. Pond looked great. 2 weeks ago, so 5 weeks after the first initial treatment, we've been in a pretty serious drought here in Michigan. We've lost a lot of water, probably a foot off of the top, and so the pond was quite a ways down. Temperatures were rising, and all of a sudden the whole surface, one day it turned green and oily. So I learned a new word that day, after the cuss words, right? Biofilm. And so a biofilm basically is the surface, well, not the surface, but the water, the contents of the water are decomposing faster than the water can handle it. So my brain starts a turning. You guys know how this one goes. Well, do I need to change the pH of it? Can I do it with wood ashes? What can I do it with? How can I fix this? And then I just started thinking, well, if things are decomposing too quickly, I need to get to it and start getting the things out that are decomposing. And I've been working the edges, but I needed to work a little bit deeper. So I took my landscape rake, I put a rope on it, then I put a longer rope on it, and I threw that rope out there, and I started pulling in everything I could. I was pulling in big old piles of seaweed. The little guy kept calling it nets because it kind of looked like a net. I started pulling out the cattail, all the roots of the cattails, a lot of lily pad roots, just started pulling out. And I logged a few hours doing this, but that really helped quickly getting those decomposing things out of the pond. What I didn't realize was by adding dye to the pond, it would kill off things just as quickly as that Flumagard did. I didn't realize that Flumagard would, yes, it would kill off my lily pads, but then it's going to attack the roots too. So we got a lot of decomposing matter underneath there. Did that for several days. I noticed a difference. We had some cool nights down into the 40s, which definitely helped. And then, as you can see, the pond is up. Over the course of the last 4 or 5 days, 6 days, here in Michigan, we've added probably 5 to 6 inches of rain. And those 5 to 6 inches of rain, by the time you get some of the sloped areas around the pond, pond probably came up 7, 8, 9 inches. So we got a lot more volume in the pond than we had before. Going along with that, the pond does have kind of a offshoot, right? Get my finger over in here. And so any of that water meal that was on the surface, and it kind of cohesively kind of came together, it went that way. So that's where we're at. I don't see any water meal at all. What does that mean? It doesn't mean it's gone. I don't see any water meal. I think some of it went that away. So probably 4 or 5 days ago, right before we got that heavy rain, I put a gallon of it's Air Max Natural Blue with bacteria dye. So it comes in a gallon jug. And me and the little guy came out in the fishing boat and we just spread it all around. So it is a blue dye. And that definitely is helping keep that sunlight from penetrating through. So what have I learned? I've learned that Flumagard definitely takes care of water meal. I've learned it also will kill everything it touches, except for some grasses. It didn't seem to mess with grass at all. I learned that the dye will also kill things that are underneath it, because I'm pretty sure those lily pad roots need a little sunlight too, so it's killing those things as well. I learned that aerator really does a good job. I can't imagine doing this process without the aerator. I also learned that if you're not willing to put some muscle in, or just the effort in to get that stuff out, eventually nature will kind of balance itself out. I believe that. I believe that strongly. But we can help it out a little bit. But I also know that if I didn't do anything to this pond, next year it would just be right back to it. Financially, investment, I haven't put a whole lot into herbicides or dyes or any of that stuff. Pretty low cost, honestly. So aerator and effort, and I'm pretty pleased when we start looking at the end of June and where I was last year. Water level's up pretty high. Kids love swimming on that raft. I got a float that's taking on some water, but we need to do that. Kids actually like to swim right above that aerator. It kind of bubbles them up, So my plan is just kind of talk about this and the progress throughout the summer, and just kind of help you learn from me if you're interested. Like I said, I'm a little bit long-winded. Like I said, I am a little bit long-winded when it comes to some of this stuff, but that's the power of YouTube, is you can really learn from other people if you're patient enough to listen to them. I know that July and August will bring some hot weather, and that, the pond water temperature really makes a huge difference in the growth of everything. And so pretty excited to see how it works out. I'm feeling very good right now, and another week things can change, and they change quickly. We know that. Later in the summer, I hope to share some of my plans for the future, and that way I can get some comments and tips from you guys. Right now my youngest is pretty young, and so a dock doesn't seem like a smart thing. He could just go right off of it and game over. And so I don't want to introduce that. Looking at doing some kind of mat and a sandy beach possibly next year. It seems pretty daunting to put a sand or stones all the way around this thing, but to have a nice approach. I'm pretty sure I'll never get rid of all that muck, but that's the goal. So anyhow, there we go. I'm rambling on, and I'm just talking to my phone right now. So thanks a lot. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate the knowledge that you guys have and get to share with me. And so you have a good day, and we will see you again. Bye now.